Good day, everybody. Welcome back to the flight deck. We're here in Prince George, British Columbia. We're going to carry on with our tour of Canada, flying the FENIX A320 in the Retro Air Canada livery. Now we're going to deviate slightly from our all-Canadian stops. Today we're heading out to Juneau, Alaska, and we'll be flying up there. It's a shorter flight. It's about an hour and 20 minutes or so, but it should be a good one. So let's hop on board and we'll get her up and running. There we go. So we're on board the aircraft. Cockpit preparations are done. We can pop down here and start getting our before start and pre-flight checklist completed. So parking brakes are set. Ground power is connected. External power is now on. And batteries are on. We can start getting the boarding going. They're going to have to come out and load via the bus.
Boarding requested. Do you want a board crew? Passengers bus is coming.
And here they come. So we'll pop up here. We'll get the adheres up and running. There's 1, 2, 3 evac sign. Set to captain and purser. Regular signs are on. And at this point we're going to kick up the lights as well. There we go. Crew oxygen is now on. Generators 1 and 2 are on and in fault. Cockpit heat, we're going to turn that down a bit. It is hot in Canada right now. And packs 1 and 2 are on and in fault as well. Do our fire tests.
Passengers boarding starting.
There's our fire test done. Let's take a look out here. I can see the bus sitting over there. We just pop out. There's the people coming out and getting on the aircraft now. Alright. Emergency exit lights are armed. Icing indicator standby compass is on, and cargo heat is set to cold. We'll come over here, we'll get rid of that one, and we'll get the flight plan up onto the EFB. There's the flight plan is in. And we can come over here to our weights and balances. 126 passengers, 6 tons of cargo, or 6,000 pounds of cargo, 15,500 pounds of fuel. And remember that in this livery, in this time frame, we were rocking the old school imperial pounds. We're going to do an instant load. And we'll come back over to ground services. Make sure those doors stay open. Yeah, get that open again. There we go. And now we can come down and start setting up the FMC. Alright, database is current. Clear those messages. Initialize. We'll bring in the flight plan and we'll come over to Roger's side. And we're going to go in our messages. As usual, it didn't send it. So we'll force it to send the message. Here we go. There's the load sheet. We'll accept that. And we have our planning numbers. So flight number today is Air Canada Flight 3232. Lock that in. Cost index of 25. We are going up to, apparently, for a short time anyway, a flight cruising altitude of flight level 380. Grab our winds. Hi David. No worries, it was a fun flight. Alright, so we got that. We're gonna go into our init B page. And we'll get our numbers. So zero fuel weight is 125.3. And and our center of gravity will be 31.8.
I'm right next to it. Thank you.
Block fuel for today's flight. Let's pull up my flight plan. Is 15,503, so 15.5. There we go. And our reserves are 2,250, so 2.2. There we go. And clear those messages as well. Come over to our flight. Now let me grab the winds. Get the updated winds. I'll throw those into the chat. So winds 20011 gusting 18. So we are going to depart off of runway 15, and we're going to be do the CYXS 5 departure, which is straight out climb. We're then going to turn to Duxer, and our approach into PAJN, which is Juneau, Alaska, is going to be via the RNAV Victor for runway 08 at the SSR VOR. So we want the RNAV Victor 08. And that is all good. We'll insert that. And it looks like it may be missing one or two waypoints. Let me just look. Yes, it is. Kebab or pizza or fries with salt. Actually, all of them sound pretty good. After Duxor, our next waypoint is going to be the SSR VOR. So we will insert that. After the SSR VOR, we're going to go to Nimli, November India Mike Lima Echo. I'll insert that. After Nimli, we are going to go to... No, okay, I mean, that's fine. So what we'll do is we'll clear out that discontinuity. There's Ogemi, that's good. And then if we scroll back up, yeah, we're going to go Duxar, then SSR, Nimli. So we have a few altitude restrictions we want to be at. We want to be at SSR. We'll go to our altitude constraint of 3500, 3,500 feet. We will be descending to that. Excuse the voice, got a little bit of a post-vacation travel going on here. At Nimli, we want to be at 35,000 as well. And we'll be descending to that. At Ogemi, we're going to be at 34, not above. That's a hard 340. Sounds like everybody is on board. And at Menai, we're going to be at a hard 2,700 feet. And then after that, we are kind of on our own for the visual approach to the runway. As it says right now, we'll have a bit of a tailwind, but we don't have much choice when we're landing at Juneau. It is the only way in. All right, so that is all done. There's our missed approach, and we are done with that. So we can now come over to our performance initialization. So we'll get that ready. We'll pop over here to our
We're ready to go when you
calculator
are.
here. Oh, sounds like the cabin is ready.
On behalf of the cabin crew, I'd like to welcome you aboard our
So
flight.
CYXX, we're going off on runway 15. It is dry. We'll bring in the final load sheet. Everything is looking good there. We'll bring in the weather.
Your carry-on items, please use the flight attendant call button over your seat and somebody will assist you.
And we'll do our
If the overhead bin is
calculations.
full, please make sure you close it as a courtesy
So our
to
V
other
speed's
passengers.
134, 135,
Please double check
136.
that all your items are put away so that the aisle is clear and other passengers can make their way to their seats. If you're in an emergency exit row, please read the exit seating
That
responsibilities
is
in
done.
the
If we
card
pop
and
back
seat
over,
back
we
in
can
front
see
of you.
our
If you're
flaps.
not able
We're doing
to
a
comply
flaps
with
2
these actions,
and
please
down
let a flight
0.5
attendant know
on the
so that way
trim.
you can be reseated. Feel free to use your
And
cell phones
down
during the rest of the boarding
0.5.
process, but we do ask that laptops, tablets, and
And
any
our
other larger
flex today
electronic
is going to
devices
be
are stored once we
62
depart
degrees.
PNG. Thank you, and welcome aboard.
62 degrees, and there we go. So we'll clear out that message. That's all our information.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen,
Pushed
and
in
welcome
there.
aboard flight 3232.
come over here
with service
to
Juneau. Our flight time will be
This
roughly
side,
1
we'll
hour.
probably get
and
another message
19
shortly, but
minutes.
that's fine.
Now
We'll
that
put
the
him
cabin
on the
door is
flight.
closed, please make sure that all devices are in airplane mode and
Take
your
a quick look outside. Everything is clear, and
sure
everything
that all
is
tray tables
closed.
and seat backs are in a full upright and locked position.
So we'll
for
carry on
departure.
with our
Flight
checks
attendants, please
here.
prepare
It's
cabin for
299.4
departure
is the current pressure. We'll set that on both sides. We have to do this manually on this aircraft, and we will make sure we are reading about the same, and it is going to be about 2,020 feet, so about there. Transponder set to 2,000. PWS is now on. GCS is now on. Fueling, loading, and boarding is complete. We have 15.5 in the tanks. Everyone is on board. Doors are closed. APU is coming on. And we'll click start. And we'll wait for the APU to kick up. So today's flight, we're heading to the northwest, basically back out over the Rockies, and then landing in Juneau, which is on the coast in one of the fjords up in Alaska. And for departure, we're going to taxi out of here, out on Delta, and then we'll backtrack on runway 15 to the end to get ready to go. We are up on VATSIM, however, there is currently no ATC online in the part of the world we are flying in. That, of course, is always subject to change. We'll see how that goes. APU's up 55%. Hello, Sleepy Dan. Welcome to the stream. Of course, we got the disco there. We'll wait until we're a couple thousand feet above the ground before we turn off on our first waypoint, just to make sure we have the clearance necessary for all the terrain that we're going to be facing. Of course, we're at Prince George Airport, provided by Sim Add-ons. And by provided means I gave them money and they provided the airport to me. But it's nice to have a little bit of a custom look to our airport. Alright, that's the APU up and running. We'll get the bleeds on. External power is now disconnected. Takeoff data is set, 134, 136. FCU, we will dial this into our cruise level at flight level 380. No point hanging around at lower altitudes. And over to the panel here, we'll go back into FENIX mode, and ground power and chocks can all be removed. And go to the flight, and we'll put the flight tab in. There we go. So flight directors are now on both sides, and radios. We'll set radios to 122.8. That is the Unicom frequency for VATSIM. They are set. So we are ready to get going. So let's call for our push. And we get the beacon on. We'll get the fuel pumps going. There she comes.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
So we're going to push it. We're going to go tail to our right, nose to the left. Basically going to come out this way, taxi around. Actually, we're going to go down here. We'll taxi down this way. This is the runway we want, and then we're going to backtrack all the way down to
Departure
the
check
end
completed. Bypass
and
pin
get ready to
inserted.
go. She should be getting out of the way, and then the tug's going to come in. So once again, we want our nose to go to the left and tail to the right.
Locking gear.
Alright, before we go, we'll uncage our standby artificial horizon. There we go. It's now on the gimbals. Doors are closed. And we've been lifted up.
Release parking brakes.
And here we go. Oh, let's switch the radio over. There we go. Prince George area traffic.
parking
Air
brake.
Canada 3232. Push and start facing northeast.
Release parking brakes. Push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Alright, ready to start. Engine ignition selector to start. Starting engine number 2. See where they're going to push us to.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your complete attention to the flight attendants as they demonstrate the safety features.
Well, they're getting creative. They went to the wrong line. That is fine.
Set parking brakes. Waiting for confirmation for a good engine start.
Please take a few moments now to locate your nearest exit. In
Interesting
some
push.
cases, your nearest exit may be behind you. If we need to evacuate the aircraft, floor level lighting will guide you towards the
And
exit.
we're through
In
400
the
degrees
event
on
of a
engine
loss
2.
of
We're
cabin
starting engine
pressure,
1.
An oxygen mask will drop in front of you. Start the flow of oxygen, pull the mask towards you, and place it firmly over your nose and mouth. Secure the elastic band behind your head and tighten the straps if necessary. And don't worry if the bag doesn't inflate. Oxygen is flowing to the mask, and you can breathe normally. If you're traveling with children, now's the time to pick your favorite one. But secure your mask and then assist others.
Unfortunately,
Keep
the
your mask
manual
on and
pushback
remember
mode
the
is
crew
very
advises you to stay
non-intuitive.
cruising. In the event that the pilot decides to take us for a swim, a fashionable
Pushback
life vest
toolbar
is
actually has a
located in the
really
pouch
good
under your seat or
just
between
point
the
and click
armrests.
way of setting
When
your
instructed to do
pushback.
so, open the plastic pouch and remove the vest. Flip it over your head. Wrap the straps around your waist and buckle at the front. Pull the strap to tighten. To inflate the vest, pull firmly on the red
There
cord
goes the
only when
bus,
exiting
300
the aircraft.
degrees.
If your life vest does not inflate automatically, blow into the mouthpieces for manual inflation. Each vest is equipped with a whistle and light.
Looks like she's
If
starting up
necessary,
nicely,
this
so we'll
can
let
be
them
used
know
as a
we
secondary
are
rotation
good.
device.
Cockpit to
Please
ground.
securely
We have
stow
a good
all
engine
personal
start.
items.
You can
Make sure
disconnect.
your seatbelts are
Unlocking
fastened,
gear.
straps and tray tables are
And
all
there's
in
engine
full
1
upright
available. So we'll
position.
come up top.
We remind you that
Generators
this is a
1 and 2 are both
non-smoking
on with no
flight, and that
faults. Engine mode
includes
selector
tampering
to
with,
normal.
disabling, or destroying
Probe
the
heat
smoke detectors
is
located in the
in
laboratory
auto.
strictly
NTS not required.
prohibited
Packs
by
1
law.
and 2 are
All
both
of this
on with no
information
faults.
and more can be found in the safety card
Flaps,
located
we're
in
going to
the
want
seat
flaps
back in
2
front of you.
today.
We suggest reading this and let us know if you have any questions. Thank you for flying with us, and we hope you enjoy
Flaps
your
2
flight.
selected. Trim 0.5 down. So we'll come over to our flight controls. We'll roll the trim down to 0.5.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin
Let's
removed.
do this a little bit by hand. There we go, 0.5. Flight
Left
control
is
check.
clear.
It's full
Right
left,
is clear.
full right, neutral, full forward, full back, neutral, and the rudders, full left rudder, full right rudder, neutral. Alright, with the flight controls checked, the AP bleeds will come off, AP will come off. FCP is set, engine instruments checked, all good. nose wheel steering is clear, so engage the tiller, nose light to taxi, ground spoilers are armed, and our TO config check. Our brakes set to max. TO config check is clear, and we are good for our taxi. Prince George area traffic, Air Canada 3232 taxiing runway 15 via the apron, Delta backtracking 15, Air Canada 3232 at Prince George. Right. Brakes are off, taxi lights are on. We're all good there. Here we go. Not too hot here, but we do have a little bit of elevation. It's density altitude of 2,800 feet. We are in the mountains. So it's not going to be quite the same as if we were taking off at a sea level airport. Hey Liam, how are you today? A little bit noisy out there. We'll take up our nose cam position. So you can see by the windsock there, we're going to have a bit of a right crosswind as we come out of here. But it should all be good. Nothing we cannot handle. So we'll make the turn here on Delta. I'll then be a left turn at the runway. Down the hill here. I'm not doing too good. Getting back into the swing of things after my little bit of time away. We're going to come down here, we'll get the weather on, and we'll get the transponder and TCAS up and running. And we'll turn the lights on now since we're going to be entering onto the runway. Get everything set up there. Get our speed down to about 10 knots, make this turn. Head up to the end of the runway. Am I going to Tokyo? On this flight? No. We're going to Juneau, Alaska. In real life? Someday. I've been there before. I'd like to go back. Here's the other runway. We're going to use the big one here. So while we're rolling down here, we're just going to come in here quickly. Got to go clear that message that's sitting there waiting. It's the other load sheet. Accept, return, and back to the flight plan for Roger. So what do we have traffic-wise around us at the moment in VATSIM? Not a lot. A little bit of traffic around Juneau, but not too much. This? Nope. This is a Airbus A320 in the retro Air Canada colors. End of the runway's coming up. Turn around here and get ourselves all lined up. Bit of a hard turn. So somebody's using the runway to get down here as well in a truck. It is the only way down to this apron down here, so makes sense. And there we go. He's just going to sit there and get in the way, so we will ignore him. Alright, brakes are set. Engine spooling up to 40%. Clock is running. Prince George area traffic, Air Canada 3232 rolling runway 15 departure to the northwest. Brakes released. Takeoff power is set. Manflex 62 degrees SRS runway enabled, auto throttle blue. I have been to London many times, yes. 80 knots. But I was just there in May. And there's V1. Positive rate, gear up, speed brakes disarmed. Maha! Maha? Maja? Maha. Hello from Sweden. Well, hello from Canada. Thank you for dropping by the stream. Alright, here's 160. We'll hold that for the climb for a minute. And we'll nose her down to about a 12-degree angle now. Yeah, London is a very busy place. And thrust climb. And we're looking good. So we're going to come over here onto Roger's side. We are going to go direct to Duxar. And autopilot is on. Maya. Thank you. Well, welcome. So now that we're up in the air, turn-off lights can come off. We'll turn off our taxi light and our wing lights. We'll throw on the terrain radar just so we can get an idea of what's coming up in the area. See, we're on a bit of a plateau here. Yeah, Cardiff is it's been a while since I've been to Cardiff. It's a cool place though. Alright, there's 6,000 feet. Flaps 1. Yeah, that's the sound of the engines going up full takeoff power and climb power. Airbuses have a kind of interesting sound to them as they go with the engines they use. There's us through S speed, so flaps coming up all the way. Accelerating up to 250 knots. See the mountains there on the edge. We're in a bit of a valley or a plateau area here in the mountains, surrounded on all sides. Looks like we've got some rain up to the north. See the higher mountain ranges, and they're vanishing off the terrain radar as we get high enough that they're not going to be an issue. $8,000 feet. And everything is looking good. So our destination is Juneau, Alaska. And due to the mountains and everything in the area, there is only one way in and out. There is a private jet leaving there, heading to somewhere in the States, and then we're coming in, so minimal traffic there. And there's 10,000 feet, so lights off. And we can release the cabin.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now passed 10,000 feet. You may now turn on your larger portable electronic devices. This is also a reminder to please keep your seatbelt fastened while you're seated and do not congregate in the galleys or near the lavatory.
18,000 feet is transition, but we're climbing straight through, so we'll go over to standard now.
The flight crew has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign. You can now get up and move about the cabin.
And we'll
However,
set
we ask
our
that you keep your seatbelt fastened when you
standby to standard pressure as well. So let's get the map up. So you can see where we're going, and I will move the chat window up so it's out of the way. And we'll hide that. Get rid of that. And there we go. Definitely getting into some clouds here. Going through a pretty hot spell in Canada right now. The next few days are all going to be above 30 Celsius, so pretty warm. Oh, I'm sure this rain would be nice out here in BC. Alright, we're at our high altitude climb speed, and we are continuing our climb to cruise. Everything is looking very nice. So we got about 462 miles to go to our destination. A little bit of a different approach as we come in. We're going to fly by the airport as we're descending and then turn back in, since we do have to come in via the only way in and out. But that should be good otherwise. Yeah, I did once. Took off out of Vancouver. I had a pressurization issue. So I had to turn back to the airport and land, which we did with no issues. But I don't fly with failures on for these airplanes that can do that. So I'm just flying for the fun. You know, failures, they're good. You can work them. It can be a lot of fun, and I would do it if I was offline, but for the flights here, it's just nice and relaxing as we go. Alright, so we're coming up to 20,000 feet, so let's come back here onto this side of the aircraft. We can look out, see the train, the mountains, some of the clouds that are going by. Got a little bit of entertainment I'll throw up, and then I'll be back to brief the descent. Other than that, I will be kicking around, I'll be in the chat. So we will see you shortly.
liberating as much of Italy as might be possible with the means at our disposal. As the bulk of our supplies was directed to England for the forthcoming invasion, operations in Italy had to be conducted on an extremely limited scale. Thus it came about that during the winter months, the number of Allied divisions in Italy was greatly reduced. Yet so determined was their effort that they succeeded in holding in Italy a very large number of German divisions during the pre-invasion period. San Pietro in the 5th Army sector was the key to the Liri Valley. We knew it, and the enemy knew it. We had to take it, even though the immediate cost would be high. We took it, and the cost in relation to the later advance was not excessive. By its very nature, this success worked bitter hardships upon each individual soldier, calling for the full measure of his courage and devotion. The response of our 5th Army troops provides an inspiring page in our military history. To these individuals, living and dead, and to those who now continue in their tradition, this picture is dedicated.
Valley lies in the Italian Midland, some 60 miles northwest of Naples to some 40 miles southeast of Rome. A wide, flat corridor enclosed between 4 walls of mountains. In winter, the highest peaks of the Liri Range ascend into the snows, but the valley floor with its olive groves and ancient vines, its crops of wheat and corn, is green the year around. That is, in normal times. Last year was a bad year for grapes and olives, and the fall planting was late. Many fields lay fallow. There are 2 ways from the south in the valley. One, a narrow pass. The other, a high, scenic road over the mountains. They converge before the site of the ancient village of San Pietro, which for 700 years has stood at the threshold of Liri Valley, welcoming the traveler. The stones of its walls were quarried out of the parent hill from whose slopes it rises. Population 1,412 at the last census. A farming community. Patron saint, Peter. Point of interest, St. Peter's, 1438. Note, interesting treatment of chancel. From the end of October 1943 until the middle of December, San Pietro and the surrounding grounds was the scene of some of the bitterest fighting on our 5th Army front. The Italian campaign had entered its second phase, to push forward again after a static period brought on by heavy seasonal rains. Our battle lines were haphazard as the terrain itself, with its flood-swollen rivers that twisted back and forth across our line of march so that each river seemed like 5. And where there was no river to cross, a mountain blocked our going, each peak ahead being a few meters higher than the last we had won, so that each new peak had to be fought for the hard, uphill way, with the enemy looking down our throats. They had had time to fortify and camouflage their positions. No amount of artillery fire or aerial bombardment could force them to withdraw. That was for the infantry to do, employing those weapons that confine and destroy life in narrow trenches, caves, and fighting holes. It was up to the man with the rifle, the man under fire from all weapons, the man whose way all our weapons, land, air, and sea, serve only to prepare. It was up to the foot soldier to attack a hidden enemy over ground that was sown with mines, the anti-personnel S-mines that fly up at a football to explode beneath the groin. Nowhere along the entire front were enemy preparations more elaborate than the San Pietro area. For San Pietro stands at the threshold of Leary Valley, and through Leary Valley, wide and level, runs the most highly prized length of road south of Rome. By early December, we had taken or holding high ground to the northeast, east, and south of San Pietro, the Camino Maggiore hill mass being last to fall. An Italian brigade under Allied command had made a vain attempt to capture Mount Lungo, possession of which would have acted greatly to our benefit in the impending action. The Italians were all but annihilated. In view of their excessive losses, further operations against Mount Lungo's strategic heights were abandoned, and it was decided to make a direct frontal assault on enemy positions in and around San Pietro. Elements of the 36th Texas Infantry Division were rotated from position to position overlooking the valley, so the troops might study the terrain ahead from various viewpoints. Patrol activity was continuous. Day and night, units went out to reconnoiter the ground, draw fire, take prisoners, thus adding to the sum of our information about the enemy. High points: Mount Lungo's 351 and Mount Sinuco's 1205 and 950 were all manned in force. The town itself was strongly garrisoned with numerous mortar, machine gun, and heavy weapon emplacements. 4 enemy battalions were dug into a line of connecting trenches and mutually supporting pillboxes in depth that extended from the base of Mount Lungo northeast across the valley floor to the base of Mount Sinuco. Another battalion was organized to defend the high ground northwest of San Pietro. Areas before these positions were heavily mined and held a confusion of barbed wire and booby traps. On the afternoon before, D-Day and H-Hour were communicated to battalion commanders. December 8th, at 0620 hours, the 1st Battalion of the 143rd Infantry Regiment to attack the summit of 1205, having moved up the mountain under cover of darkness, and upon achieving its objective to attack along the ridge to a point northwest of San Pietro. The 3rd Ranger Battalion likewise to attack 950, another feature of the Mount Simocro hill mass. The 2nd Battalion of the 143rd to attack over the terraced olive orchards northeast of San Pietro. The 3rd Battalion, acting in support to follow the 2nd at 400 yards. Of the original force to establish the beachhead at Salerno, the 143rd had since spent all but a fortnight in action under extremely bitter weather conditions. At Salerno, at the Volturno crossing, it had taken mortal punishment. The task ahead promised no less bloodshed, yet it was undertaken in good spirits and high confidence. The 1st Battalion began the long, rugged climb up Mount Sinuco. Night fell, our artillery opened up, and throughout the night hours, intense fire was laid down on the enemy's main line of resistance. It had rained most of the night, and it was raining at H-Hour when the 2nd and 3rd Battalions crossed the line of departure. Some 200 yards forward, they encountered mines and automatic fire from pillboxes. Artillery were deadly accurate by reason of excellent enemy observation from Mount Lungo, overlooking our advance, which continued another 200 to 400 yards. Many men gave their lives in attempts to reach pillboxes and throw hand grenades through the narrow gun openings. The 3rd Battalion was committed. But the advance never got more than 600 yards past the line of departure. Our initial assault on San Pietro had been repulsed with heavy casualties. The attack on Hill 1205, however, was a brilliant success. Leading elements of the 1st Battalion had gained the summit of the objective before a strongly entrenched enemy knew that an assault was in progress. To the right of 1205, the 3rd Ranger Battalion had also captured its objective, but only after successive attacks and costly casualties. For on 950, the enemy was not taken unaware. Counterattacks were to be expected on both 1205 and 950. They were not long developing. The first was launched during the early daylight hours, and even as it was beaten off, another took form. Day and night they followed in unremitting violence. The toll of enemy dead mounted with each new attempt. But German prisoners captured on 1205 and 950 said they had been ordered to retake those positions at all cost. In addition to defending Hill 1205, the 1st Battalion, obedient to the field order, undertook the reduction of enemy defenses which were organized along the ridge running west. December, the 1st Battalion was reinforced with the 504th Parachute Battalion, which took over and maintained the defenses of 1205 and 950, thereby enabling the 1st Battalion to throw its entire remaining strength into the assault along the ridge. But the first strength had dwindled and shrunk in the 5 days past, and there was now a question as to whether its existing numbers were sufficient to prevail. Reports during the night of the 14th of December stated that the enemy was offering bitter resistance and that the issue was in grave doubt. Meanwhile, on the olive terraces below, the 2nd and 3rd Battalions had twice again attempted to reach their objective. Both times they had come up against a wall of automatic weapon, mortar, and artillery fire.
Starting our in-flight service.
Volunteer patrols make desperate attempts to reach enemy positions and reduce strong points.
Tickets are available for a small charge. If you wish to make an additional purchase,
Not a single
only accept
member of
credit
any
cards.
such patrol ever came back alive. Our attacking forces were furnished excellent aerial cover by Allied fighter patrols. But now and then, enemy planes were able to slip through and to bomb and strafe our positions, which to all purposes had remained unchanged since the first day. To break the deadlock, orders were given for a coordinated divisional attack. The 2nd and 3rd Battalions of the 143rd to proceed in the execution of the original orders. Acting in conjunction, Company A of the 753rd Tank Battalion to attack San Pietro from the east over the high road. 1 battalion of the 141st to attack over the flat valley floor. After nightfall on D-Day, the 142nd Infantry Regiment to attack Mount Lungo. The earlier decision not to attack those strategic heights having been reversed in view of the present critical situation. In preparation for the attack, all 5th Army artillery within range, including tanks and all tracks, was directed against San Pietro and the surrounding area. H hour, 1200 hours. D-Day, the 15th of December. The 141st Infantry advanced some 400 yards from its line of departure, to be borne down and held powerless under the weight of enemy fire. The 2nd and 3rd Battalions of the 143rd advanced some 100 yards beyond their former positions to a point almost directly before forward enemy defenses. And for the 3rd time, they were forced to take such cover as the quaking earth could offer. And the tanks. Orders were for them to enter the town to locate and destroy the heavy weapons there, which were leveled against our attacking foot soldiers. The high road into San Pietro is a narrow mountain road, and from the beginning of its winding descent in the Liri Valley, it was under direct enemy observation. "16 tanks started down that road. 3 reached the outskirts of the town. Of these, 2 were destroyed, and 1 was missing. 5 tanks were immobilized behind enemy lines, their crews having to abandon them. 5 tanks hit enemy mines within our lines and were thereupon destroyed by enemy gunfire. 4 tanks returned to the bivouac area. After dark, 2 companies, one from the 2nd Battalion and one from the 3rd, finally succeeded in penetrating enemy positions before San Pietro. But receiving both frontal and flanking fire, they were forced to retire. Company E having been reduced in strength to a handful of riflemen, and Company L faring little better. Mount Simocro Ridge, the 1st Battalion fought its way to within a few hundred yards of the objective. But it had paid for ground gained at the rate of a man a yard, and it did not have strength to carry the fight any further forward. On Mount Lungo, however, despite bitter resistance, battalions of the 142nd, in successive waves, kept pushing upwards. Until, in the early daylight hours of the 16th of December, its foot soldiers had gained the summit and were wiping up what remained of a stubborn enemy. And that height proved to be a key position in the enemy plan of defense, for even as Mount Lungo fell, the enemy throughout the San Pietro area made preparations to withdraw. Almost invariably, the enemy will counterattack to cover a withdrawal. The first violent thrust was delivered within a few hours. And thereafter, counterattacks came in waves, the roar of the last mingling with the rush and fury of the next to break. Many companies lost all their officers. Enlisted men came forward as inspirational leaders to rally their battered companies in resisting yet one more onslaught. Our own artillery was brought to fall within 100 yards of our front-line elements. After 5 hours, during which the earth never ceased to tremble, counterattacks ended, indicating that the withdrawal of the enemy's main body had commenced. Patrols immediately pushed ahead. They discovered that San Pietro was ours for the taking. The 2nd and 3rd Battalions, less than a rifle company in strength, weary to death who were alive, stumbled forward past San Pietro to consolidate gains and re-establish contact with the enemy, now taking up new positions some 5 kilometers beyond. That is the broad shape of the Battle of San Pietro, which was but the first of many battles in the Erie Valley. It was a very costly battle. After the battle, the 143rd Infantry Regiment alone required 1,100 replacements. The lives lost were precious lives, to their country, to their loved ones, and to the men themselves. For the living of the 143rd Infantry Regiment, more than 100 decorations for acts of valor above and beyond the call of duty. Many among these you see alive here have since joined the ranks of their brothers in arms who fell at San Pietro. For ahead lay San Vittore, and the Rapido River, and Cassino, and beyond Cassino more rivers, and more mountains, and more towns, more San Pietros, greater or lesser, 1,000 more. As the battle passed over and beyond San Pietro, westward, townspeople began to appear, coming out of their caves in the mountains where they had stayed in hiding during the enemy occupation. They were mostly old people and children. Enemy mines and booby traps, which were in the process of being cleared. Children are able to forget quickly. Yesterday they wept. Today there are smiles and even laughter. Tomorrow it will be as though the bad things had never happened. Living was resumed in San Pietro. Our prime military aim being to engage and defeat the enemy, the capture of the town itself and the liberation of its people is of an incidental nature. But the people in their military innocence look upon us solely as their crops planted after our coming by other people of other towns believed likewise. The new one earth at San Pietro was plowed and sown. It should yield a good harvest this year. And the people prayed to their patron saint to intercede with God in behalf of those who came deliberately and passed on to the north with the passing battle.
Alright, welcome back to the flight deck. Time to do our briefing for our arrival. I grabbed the weather and I'll throw it into the chat. Winds are 250 at 12, so we're going to be landing with a tailwind. 10 miles of visibility, a few clouds in the area at various levels, and scattered at 27,000 feet. Um, 18 degrees currently, and 2997 is the barrel. So let's get that information entered into our system here. So 2997. Temperature of 18 degrees. Winds we're looking at 250 at 12. Not ideal, but not much we can do about it given the layout of the airport. Transition altitude of 18,000 feet is fine, and our minimums are 1880 for today's flight. The runway we're landing on anyway. So that is now all fully set up. It's going to be a continual descent with no real interruptions, so we're going to set our final altitude down around our missed approach. So we'll set her down to 18,000 feet. We should be under our 1,800 feet, and we should be under my control at that point. So we'll set that up. There we go. And we are heading, basically, if you look at the little map here, we're going to head up to, just looking at the layout here, I believe it's up to here, and then we'll turn around and Juneau's up in this area up here. So we get rid of that now. We can see we're out over the mountains, heading up towards the coast, and we're coming up towards our descent point. Bringing in the charts. We're currently en route to SSR, this VOR right here. We're going to tune all this stuff in on the nav aids as well in a second, and then we're going to make a right turn out to Nimley, left turn up to Omegi, then we're going to make this turn here, and we're going to fly in towards the airport. We'll take over and manually fly the approach from there. So a couple of things we want to enter in here. We want to put in the VOR. So we'll go into the rad nav. We are on a RNAV, so we won't be using the ILS. That's fine. There's the SSR is in. That is good. So we're going to come up. We're going to turn on VORs there. We do have one we're using as cross-reference. It's now showing up there, LVD. And that's about it. Once we're down at the airport, we're going to be coming in this way over the hills here, and then we're going to make the turn. We'll land. We're probably going to end up all the way down at Gulf. We'll then taxi all the way back up to the terminal up here where the control tower is. And that's the plan. This one does become a little hectic for the arrival. It's an interesting approach. You've got to kind of keep your wits about you since the approach isn't lined up with the direction of the runway. We're about 38 miles out. We'll start our descent about 5 or 6 miles out from the actual descent point. Creates a smoother descent profile instead of a drop down. And we'll go down at 280 knots until we have to slow down. We're going to be flying this rather slowly. We'll probably be at flaps 1 for a good chunk of the approach, just so things don't get out of hand too quickly. Looks like we're about 113 miles out from the airfield. So yeah, we're kind of crossing diagonally across this band of mountains, heading to the fjords and stuff, passageways. So one final thing, if we do have to do a go around, this approach, we're going to do a left turn, climbing to 9,000 feet direct to Muggs, and on a track of 281 to chill, and then we hold while continuing to climb up to 9,000 feet. So pretty straightforward, full power left turn. And to 281, head out towards Muggs. What we can do is we can also come down now as we get closer, and we'll go into our flight plan. And first point into our fixes, and we can go PAJN, and we're going to put in our MSA, which is 8,000 feet. That gives us our 25-mile radius around the airport, and then we can go to PAJN. Should be, let's see if I can remember how to do this. I always forget this part. Not sure if that shows up there or not. No. And I want the 265 radial off the runway end. There we go. And that gives me my runway center line. And there we are. We're 9 miles out. We'll start our descent now. So we'll go into our managed descent. Juneau area traffic, Air Canada 3232, leaving flight level 380 for the RNAV runway 08 Juneau.
To assist with customs at our destination, flight attendants will begin handing out forms momentarily. Please review and complete these forms and keep them with you for presentation upon arrival.
Alright, so we're watching our speed. Again, when we get it up to around 280, we'll go over into our selected speed and hold it there. So we're 102 miles away from the SSR VOR. As mentioned, we have an 8,400 foot MSA around the airport, so we have to make sure we're in these valleys and waterways as we dip below, because there's a lot of fairly significant elevations that we have to watch out for. There we go. Intercepting the profile, taking a steeper descent path. That's going to increase our speed, so we'll just keep an eye on that. The speed breaks out. That's not bad. We'll hold her at 270. There we go. A little bit of turbulence, so we'll get the seatbelt signs on early.
The flight crew has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. Please return to your seat and fasten your seatbelt.
Since we're doing a continual descent all the way down, we will switch over to our local pressure, and that's 2997. Now we should get one last weather update before we get down, as they were updating at night on the 53s, and it's should be any time now. Let's see what that update is. There's the little channels. And Canadian fjords. Nowhere. Even with engines at idle, well, we're kind of holding. We're not doing too bad. A little bit of cloud down there. That's that few clouds that they were talking about. Through 30,000 feet. Set my sim freeze. There we go. Not sure what caused that. Something loading in. See the little route we're going to take, hard turn and around and up. Everything's looking good. 1 hour into the flight. I think it was an hour and let me go just take a look. Hour and 20 is what the estimated flight time was. Going to throw in the ADF just for double checking. ADF 2 is now in. Switch this one over to ADF. There's our green arrow there. Elephant radio beacon. Kind of around the same place. Alright, we're getting down towards 20,000 feet. Speed, you can see, is really increased. So we're going to go back into speed brake mode, get her down to 270. Last thing you want to be with a approach with turns like this is being fast. The faster you are, the wider your turns, and with mountains and hills and everything around us, we don't want to be going too fast. Speed's down to 270. Go to flaps half. And we're the only aircraft on the board for Juneau. So we shouldn't have any interference as we come in. There's 20,000 feet. And landing system's not required. We're on an RNAV. As we approach transition, let's do a weather check. Oh, no updates yet. Do a quick check over here. Oh, we do have an update. Winds are now 260 at 10, so that's not bad. So if we come in, a little change there, 260 at 10, so they've dropped slightly. David, no, you did that joke once before, and no. It's now 20 degrees, and we're at 298. And we're up to 20 degrees. All right. 298 on both sides. There we go. 16,000 feet. Let's start slowing down early. I'll bring it back to 250 now. So we're back over the mountains, crossing over the channels here. We're basically going up here, and we're going to head up this way and around. David, not appropriate for the channel. You know what happens if you go down that road. There's 13,000 feet. Clean speed is 207. We're going to go into that right at 10,000 feet. That'll help with aircraft management. David, this is your last warning.
We have begun our final descent into Juneau. Flight attendants will be passing through the cabin to collect any trash one final time. Please ensure tray tables are stowed and seats are in the full upright position. Please also store any carry-on items either in the seat back pocket or under the seat in front of you.
there's 10,000 feet coming up, so let's get the lights on. Don't worry about wing lights or nav lights. Alright, we're now in approach phase. I'm going to go into manage speed. We'll bring that right back. Full spoilers, get our speed down. You see we got our vertical and lateral deviation markers up now for the VNAV approach. And we're coming in on the vertical deviation. Just ignore him, Liam. Alright, we're coming down through 9,000 feet. We're on the path, so I'm going to go into approach mode. We're on app nav, which means we're on approach navigation. So we're going to follow the route we have in here. Final altitude is set. We already have that intercept set up. He's been warned before. I'll have to deal with him, but yeah, you can just ignore David. So we're actually going to be heading up over this way. The airport's out over here. Yeah, I know it is. That's why I've put him in a timeout. Alright, 7,000 feet. We're at green speed there. Speed brakes are up. Descending nicely. We're actually going to go to flaps 1, which will give us a S speed of 185, and that's what we'll use for our approach. So as soon as we're 10 miles from SSR, we'll go flaps 1. It's on this little island over here. I don't know yet. He's been warned before. We'll see what his response is when it comes up. There's the turn. So we're going to make the turn and we're going to come back up this way, across this island here, and down into the airport, which is over there. As mentioned before, when I was in Juneau on the cruise ship a year ago, I did see the airport from the mountains. It was pretty cool. Alright, we're going to start in with the flaps. So there's flaps 1. We'll get our speed down. Again, we don't want to keep our speed up if we can help it. We're going to start slowing down to S speed. We're going to set up, we're going to go medium on the auto brakes. Spoilers are armed. Make sure the cabin is aware. Now we're coming in. Alright, let's see how she handles it. It's 200 knots. Slowing down. Coming in nicely to Juneau. Now we're not going to be doing an overfly because this would be a really tight turn. We'd have to come out come right back, so it's just going to turn us early as we continue our descent. And of course, we have a 3,500 foot hard limit at Ojemi, so that's our descent point here, 3500, and that will make sure we are in the proper place. Juneau area traffic, Air Canada 3232 on the RNAV Victor for runway 08, Juneau. There's the turn. Speed's still coming back a little bit. There's 191 knots. Following the arc. That's nice. About 18-degree bank. Rolling back and forth slightly between 18 and 15. Beautiful coming over the islands here. There's 3,500 feet coming up. Final altitude is set. So as mentioned, the final approach to the runway is offset. So we're going to have to go manual at the end and get ourselves nicely lined up as we come over the hilltop. So Nimble we'd set for 3,500, and then we have 3,500 at Ojemi, and then we start down. David, my channel, my rules, and you've been warned before, and that was your last warning. Anything inappropriate or something I've told you I don't want on this channel, you're done. So I want to make that clear. And yes, I will ban you. There is quite a long list of people that have been banned, and I have no problem adding to it if I have to. Alright, we're on final approach. RNAV is working well. As we come up to Ojemi, we're going to go flaps 2 and start down the gear. Looking very nice out there. Still stall covered. Not sure if that's completely accurate to the way it would be at the moment, but it's not too bad. We're going to hold off going to flaps 2 because that's going to drop our speed right down towards 140, and we don't want that happening while we're still level. It doesn't matter if it's hypocrisy, it's my channel, I can do what I want. And that's the way it is. Alright, there's the turn. We're going to go gear down. As soon as we start to descend, the next level of flaps will come out. Start them out now. We're just about to start down. As we pass by the waypoint. There we go, speed's coming back. Swivel the flaps. Flaps 3. Flaps 4. Or flaps full. There's the airport ahead. Starting to head down. So gear down, 3 green. Auto brakes set to medium. Ground spoilers are armed. Lights roll on. Cabin notified. And we're heading inbound. So there's the airport. You can see the runway runs this way. We're going to be coming in this way. We're going to shoot for this gap and then make a right turn, line up, and land. Let's follow her down at the moment. A little bit of turbulence. And where are we in regards to the airport? Juneau area traffic. Air Canada 3232 on the RNAV runway 08, 6 miles, final, Juneau. It's a little bit more than that, but that's fine. So again, there's the gap we're shooting for, and then we come out, we make the turn, and there's the runway just past it. David, nope. You've had all the warnings you're getting. $2,500 feet. Just waiting for landing memo to come up. $1,880 feet are the minimums. Again, it's an RNAV, so it's not a precision approach. So minimums are a little bit higher.
100 above.
100 to go.
Minimum.
You do that, Liam. Best choice. There's minimums. Continue. Autopilot disconnect. I have control. Now manually flying the approach. Coming in over the ice here. Aiming for that little gap. There's a little grass strip or water strip which is currently frozen. That's that straight white patch beside the runway. There's actually a set of lights down here that you'd see if it was nighttime that kind of illuminate the way in. Looking good. Or a little high. Alright, here we go. Over the gap, and then we make the turn down onto the runway. Start our turn. Overshoot. That's fine.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard.
Oh, that was a little strong. Yeah, overshot. Threw me off a little bit. There's 60 knots. Reverser's back. Manual braking. And we're gonna get off here at Echo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Juneau. The local time is 1:19 p.m. and it's currently about 68 degrees Fahrenheit. You can now use your mobile devices. Please remain seated until the aircraft has come to a complete stop and the seatbelt sign is turned off. Remember to use caution when opening the overhead bins as items may have shifted during the flight.
There we go.
Thank you for flying with us, and we hope to see you again soon.
The lights off. And we'll get the APU up and running. Alright, so we are here in Juneau, interesting with the mountains. I was here in April and it was about the same temperature, and yes, you do get snow on the mountains, which is pretty cool. We're going to taxi up here to the gate, and then we'll be done. So, if you like what you're doing, we're trying to hit 700 subscribers by the end of summer. We've got a few more to go, so if you like what we're doing and want to join along, hit subscribe, be notified of when our flights are. You can join in, you can go to the Discord, links are in the description below, and you can join us. We do multiplayer and VATSIM flights, and you're more than welcome to join in. We will be back tomorrow flying the DC-3s on our US Capitals tour. We're flying, it's a short flight, but we're going to do a little bit of sightseeing over Washington, D.C. for this next one. And it should be good. So we're going to go in here. And this is our gate. Not sure which gate it is, but it's going to be ours for today. Roll up here. And there we go. Brakes are on. Well, it was an ugly flight, but or ugly landing. But we managed to get her down. Let's go over to ground services. We'll get the GPU and chocks in. Jetway can start moving as well. External power is now on. We'll put on the APU bleeds. Engines now shut off. Beacon light will come off. Release the people in the back. Turn off the fuel pumps. And flight directors as well. Hello, Anna. You joined us right at... Oh. Don't want that to disappear. You joined us right at the end. You can deboard. There we go. Get that back in there so it's all nice and proper again. Well, welcome to Juneau. I know we've stepped outside of Canada on this tour, but we're just saying hi to our Alaskan neighbors. Thank you all very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. Bye for now.